The violence of the borders have reached deep within the heartland of our nation. For each and every day, as I reported earlier, 364 people are sexually assaulted in this country each and every day. And we all know, because of the nature of sexual assault, many sexual assaults go unreported. These are just the ones that are reported. How did we, as the world's only surviving superpower, ever get to this point? How did we ever get here where we are struggling to defend our own nation within our own borders? Well, one way we got here was, for many years, it was just an immigration issue. The American industry enjoyed the cheap labor. The United States government looked the other way, and for the most part continues to do so today. The only focus they have on the border and on the securing of our nation from the border was brought forth by you, the American patriot. Back in the summer, when we bombarded the White House, the Senate, and the Congress with literally millions of phone calls demanding that they turn back the comprehensive immigration reform package, which was nothing more than a giveaway of our nation. It was you, the American patriot, that stood up and made a difference. It is you, the American patriot, that hold the power of this nation. It's not the President of the United States. It's not the Congress. It's not the senators that's been there forever and have everybody in their back pocket. It is you. And it is us as American patriots that must understand that we do harness this power. It is our responsibility to exercise our right. Even though we are not in a battle right now on the immigration bill itself, there are many things that are still taking place that need your attention. When we turned back the immigration bill in July, we believed that it was gone. It is not. Immediately following that, George Bush immediately reintroduced it and tried to pass it through. Again, the American patriots stood up and turned him back. So they decided that wasn't the way to go, so they broke up the comprehensive immigration reform package into little bitty pieces and are now inserting that into other bills. A perfect example, the DREAM Act has been inserted into the Iraqi spending bill. It has been stripped out at this time, but believe me, they're looking at another bill somewhere to hide it in, hoping that one day you, as the American citizen, will not be paying attention and they will be able to slip it through on us. This nation, for all those years that allowed free travel across the border and was basically ignored by our government, was jolted to reality on the clear morning of September 11th, 2001, when terrorist-laden aircraft streaked across the American Northeast, cowardly and brutally attacking the civilian targets of the World Trade Center and the military target of the United States Pentagon. It would have certainly been a much worse disaster had it not been for those brave individuals on United Flight 93 who attempted to regain control of the aircraft and gave their lives to protect American citizens. And what we believe was the target that day was the United States Capitol. Those individuals on Flight United 93 were soldiers defending our nation. Before the dust could settle on that Manhattan Island, and before the first responders reached that grassy field in Pennsylvania, the security of this nation had changed. In the blink of an eye, in the snap of a finger, the sovereignty of this nation was under an attack. The security of our borders had become essential, and the American patriot had become a huge part in defending our nation. Our elected leaders continue even to this day to ignore the security concerns along the borders. George Bush, I watched with tears in my eyes as you stood upon the rubble of the Twin Towers and told the American people, and in fact told the entire world, that the individuals who knocked down these buildings would hear from us soon. Mr. Bush, I have a question. When will the drug dealers, the human smugglers, the Mexican military, and the government of the Republic of Mexico going to hear from you to stop invading our country? Mr. Bush, another question to you is, and a question that we all should answer is, how can you travel around the world slapping the backs of the American soldiers for a job well done on the war on terrorism, and at the same time leave the back door to our nation unlocked for thousands of illegal aliens to flood across, tons of narcotics to freely drive into our country. How can you leave that door unlocked? It is time that the elected leaders of our nation understand that the American patriot, the American citizen, has had enough. The American patriot demands upon the United States government that from this day forward, that you do what is in the best interest of our nation, not what is in your best interest at the ballot box. We demand upon the elected leaders from our city halls to our state capitol to the grand Oval Office of the White House that if you cannot fulfill the office and the oath of office in which you took, which was to defend this nation and its Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, then I ask that you resign the office in which you was elected. And for the sake of this nation, I ask that you make those resignations effective immediately.
Amen. Amen.
The problem this nation has with the invasion of drug smugglers and human traffickers and terrorists will only be solved when we, the American citizens of the United States, decide to hold our elected leaders responsible for their actions. The sovereignty of this nation will continue to fade away until we, again, the citizens, the patriots of this nation, reestablish upon the political spectrum of our country a government made up of the people, by the people, and for the people. For it is the people who built this nation, it is the people who have defended this nation, and it is the people that will save this nation. I would like to encourage those of you who are here tonight that are not a member of the John Birch Society, that you seriously consider becoming a member. For the John Birch Society is a fine organization that is leading the way nationwide in defending our country, our sovereignty, and our principles as Americans. The John Birch Society has a wonderful group of literature. They have a wonderful magazine called The New American. That one magazine is worth more than your membership will cost you. It is a sensational magazine. It is always on the cutting edge of what is happening in our country and the threat against our country at any given time. I myself wonder how, because they develop this and print this magazine well in advance, I wonder how do they always stay on the cutting edge. And it is because of the dedication that they have put forth for nearly 50 years that has provided them that ability. So I encourage you to get involved if you are not. U.S. Border Watch also encourages you to get involved locally, becoming members of organizations in your community. Get involved. Make sure when it's time to vote in the upcoming elections that you do your homework, that you study what the politicians' principles are and what their platform are and how they have voted in the past, that either for protecting our nation or for not protecting our nation, and make your decision that day at the ballot box for one thing, for national security. For if we lose the sovereignty and the freedom of this nation and our security fades away, nothing else matters. We as families and as citizens of this nation will watch that red, white, and blue flag be lowered and never rise again. As y'all noticed in the last few weeks, there's been a major controversy around the nation about the flag. Let it be known and let it be made very clearly. The color of the flag of this nation is and always will be red, white, and blue.
Amen.
Today we have 145,000 American troops standing in the sand of the Middle East to see that that stands true. And it's tonight, as you lay your head on your pillow, I ask that you pray not only for our nation, but for those brave individuals who stand between us and the tyranny around the world. I would like to also thank you again for the opportunity to speak with you here tonight. For it is you that makes a difference, and this is a great turnout. I see nearly every chair is filled, and I do appreciate you for coming out tonight. I ask tonight that when you pray for our country, for our country is in desperate need today. We are closer to losing that flag now than we have probably been since the Civil War.